Hi everybody, Sue Harper here. We're doing this for the Facebook page Watercolor Tips and Techniques, or Techniques and Tips. I don't know, it's one or the other of those two. Anyway, this is the challenge for the month of July, and it's about hair. We're going to paint hair. Now, I have several videos on YouTube that deal with hair of all kinds, blonde hair, dark hair. So I'm not going to do the whole thing verbatim for you. We're not going to do a complete picture here, but I do want to hit some highlights that seem to be the very important things that make hair in watercolor much more realistic, or hair in any medium, but particularly in watercolor. And it all has to do with simple observation. Right now I have these 5 colors. This is dioxazine purple. This is permanent rose or quinacridone rose. This is a warm yellow. This is Sennelier yellow deep. This is French ultramarine blue. And this is quinacridone rust. You can use quinacridone burnt orange. You can use burnt sienna. In fact, you can use any colors of these that you care for. There is no way that you have to use the same colors that I'm using. I like to tell my students, this is your painting, this is your art. You have your preferences, you have things that you like to use, and feel free to do so. But those are the colors I'm using. And I did a little face here. She's obviously not finished. She's never going to be finished. I just wanted to put some color in her face because the hairline is one of the very important things that I want to address in this little video. And the first thing I'm going to do is wet the whole shebang here. I'm going to wet her whole head. Now, if I was going to put this on a dark background, which I did with the original painting, I would mask out my little hairs like these up here with masking fluid so that I could preserve them. Either that or go back over them in an opaque paint of some kind. Either a Dr. Martin's bleed-proof white mixed with a little color to keep it from being so stark white, or another gouache of some kind. But this is just a demonstration, so we're not going to fuss with anything. So I want to get the whole thing wet because I'm going to do something that will seem a little odd to you, but that's okay. Everybody's got their own special way of doing things. In the photograph, there's places where I see certain colors. And those are the highlights, basically, in the hair. And let's see, I also see some pink in this area here. Whoops, that's a little too strong. I'll just water that down a bit. Of course, all the color that's going to go into this is going to be so much stronger because she has dark hair, this little one. Okay, I'm going to pull some of that out. And let's pull, so that's pretty strong there. And we'll add a little bit of the warm yellow to this pink here. And kind of make a peachy color. All right. And then I think we'll use some, I'm going to add another color here. I'm going to add some phthalo blue on this side. All right. Now, whoops, don't splash on her face. Once these colors are dry, they'll be a lot lighter, for one thing. Okay. All right. There. And we'll let those dry, or we'll give them a little help here, and I'll be right back to you. Okay, here's our rainbow child. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some of the ultramarine blue with some of the quinacridone rust, the orangey color. So blue and orange are complements, which means I'm going to get a neutral tone. But because one is fairly warm and one is cooler, I'm going to get a brown instead of a gray. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to that to warm it up and make it a little less harsh. I'm going to warm it up with a little bit more of the red. Okay, this child's hair is very, very dark, but she has lots of different colors in it. So we've got some interesting things to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my, this is a size 8 brush. And I'm going to just do this right wet on dry. And I'm going to just drop in some of this color here. Now her hair is in these rolls, so you want to make sure that you get her hair you use your brush in the direction that the hair is fixed. Okay. All right, I'm going to wash off my brush and I'm going to soften all the edges. Okay, and that's going to be your first layer. And we'll do that sort of everywhere that we see that little darker color. Make it darker where it's darker, like up here. This is going to be much darker than the hair in front of it. So we'll just put that in there. Again, there are areas where the hair is darker. We'll wash out our brush. Soften that. Okay. Now, we'll do that all over the whole bit of her hair. But there's a couple things that I really want to deal with that can make your painting so much more convincing. One is, all of them are basically right at your hairline. You'll notice that when I first did this, I had flesh color all the way into her hair and into the area where she has a part, which unfortunately I've covered up with that staining pink color, but that's all right. Her scalp is pink anyway. But the hair doesn't have a defined hard edge around the hairline. That's just not natural. And observation will show you that, especially with children, the hair, you can't really see where it grows out of the scalp. It's like it's really, really fine right next to the scalp, gathers together and gets a little bit more defined. Now, for example, I have some of this color. She's got a little bit of hair growing down in this direction. So I'm going to add that. I would have normally finished all this here, okay? But it doesn't seem to attach to anything because her hair is so fine that you don't see where it goes into her where it goes into her scalp. So we're going to do the same thing up here at the part. She has hair here growing, and use your fingers. You can use your fingers. They're great for working like this. And just blend that into her skin. Now it gets darker as it goes out. All right. Another place is by the ear. She has a little bit of hair. And what I'm going to do with this one is do it a little bit differently. I'm going to wet the whole area that the hair is, these little hairs. And then I'm going to use a little bit of that brown. And I'm just going to put the paint in where the hair is the darkest, right there. And the water is going to carry it up. Then we'll do her hair here as it sweeps back behind her ear. And we'll let that water carry the hair. All right, so now what we see is this blank spot right in here. That convinces me that her hair is very fine in that spot, and you're never going to see a super hard line. All this is going to be very soft around her face. Same thing up here. She has some hair that's growing here. Some odd pieces that are flowing from here but are coming across her face. And then she's got them where it's pulled back from her face into her little hairstyle. But because she's such a little girl and her hair is fine right there, she has a lot of thick hair. This child does not have super fine hair. She has lots of hair, but around her face it's very, very soft, and a lot of her skin. Now her hair here is very dark, but it comes in from this very soft there. And so you just want to keep making sure that you're softening everything and making sure there's no hard lines. There's a little bit of skin showing through between the hair. And that way you can make your hair look quite convincing. And this one is quite a bit darker and travels up over. Again, she's got this hairline right here. That's going to blend into her skin. Now, I didn't make her skin very dark. Could have made it a little darker. It would have been a little bit more convincing, but this little video is being done on on a shoestring and in a hurry. But I just thought, you know, I have videos on hair and I do it in great detail and you can see what I'm doing. But these were points that are important and are the very things that do make your hair realistic looking. And like I said, they're simply good observation. Just paying attention to what you're looking at and what you see and realizing that this is just like any other part of the painting. It has different shapes, it has different values, it has different intensities of color. And she has a part, and so you would do pretty much the same thing at the part. Now what I think we'll do is I did put in sort of the intermediate color. I'd like to put in a little tiny bit more of the yellow in here. Like I said, her hair is really dark, but where it's shining, there's not a lot of harsh light on this painting. Okay, so let's go ahead and dry this off, and then we'll go down and do one spot in a little bit more detail. And okay, now I turned her sideways because it's going to be easier for me to do what I want to show you in this direction. My hand just doesn't want to move the other way, which is the wonderful thing about watercolor, is you really don't have to have it up on an easel. You can lay it flat, you can give it a little bit of a rise, and then you can turn it around to wherever you need it. All right, now I have my intermediate colors in, and like I said, her hair is very dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that brown color I've got and make a darker color. And then I'm going to start concentrating on the places I see the dark hair the darkest. All right, and still keeping in mind that even these dark hairs are going to be muted towards her face. I want it to be a little browner than that. All right. So I'm laying the tip of a pointed brush at where I want to begin, and I'm pulling it in the direction that her hair is moving. And I'm not going to cover all areas. Some of them I'm painting negatively around lighter hair. This is one of the reasons I like to use cold pressed paper, because the paper has a bit of a texture and it gives you something to see here. So you start painting this darker color. And of course your other colors are going to show through underneath. Now there's quite a bit of light color there. Just a couple of really blondish pieces of hair there. And it's very dark here. But again, it softens right into her face. Okay, and that's how we continue from there. I have some of the light hair here, and I have some darker hair, and you just find where you see the dark hair, and you start pulling that in. And then as it starts to dry, you can make it darker where it needs to be darker. Right there, it's very dark. And in here, there's a spot where it's really dark. These are the hair that's underneath. And just keep finding those little patterns. That's about all you're doing. It's tedious work. You can kind of go a little zen as you're playing with it. But remember to keep it always soft in this area here. No matter how dark her hair is, when it gets to the hairline, it's going to soften to almost nothing and blend right in with her skin. See there. All right. Now, if we continued with this as we're doing, we would end up with, I will show you the picture of what her hair eventually looked like and what she looked like. But that's how you do it. It doesn't look like it should work, but it does. Have fun with it. I'm really anxious to see your challenge pieces. Have fun with this, and we'll see you later. Bye.